Okay.
You got you.
All right. You look at Papa Sonny Man and say I'm coming on. I don't talk that you give me permission, okay?
You got it. You got it.
Good morning, Port Arthur. Former Councilman Harold Doucet here with It's Your City. We're in the studio this morning, Papa Sonny Man, The Flash, and yours truly, David Jones, recording it. I missed you all last week. I had such a bad week without being with you all here in Port Arthur.
Yeah.
I was in Florida.
Sunny Florida.
It was like 80 something degrees. I had to wear shorts and t-shirts. Y'all know I was miserable. I miss Port Arthur. But we're here today, and we're going to be talking about political action committees today. And we're going to talk about information I feel is going to be very useful and helpful to you as individuals and citizens here in the city of Port Arthur, so that you can have a good idea on what political actions committees do, and if there are any here in the city of Port Arthur, you know, what are they doing and how do they operate basically. And we have two that I know of that are very active here, and that's the Port Arthur, the Concerned Citizens of Port Arthur Political Action Committee, and also the PA Politics, which is a blog, and which they're constantly discussing the political issues here in the city of Port Arthur. But before we get to that, we got a couple of announcements. The first announcement is to let all you know that the views and opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the studio guests, callers, and hosts, and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinion of the station or its management. And that is KSAP 96.9 FM on the radio station. And we will have a campaign platform here on the Breeze Radio, and it's scheduled for a platform discussion for the City Council, Port Arthur Independent School District candidates for the May 2014 election. Please notify your candidate that time is of the essence to schedule their platform interviews. Only the week of the 7th of April through the 11th. Remember those dates. Once again, the 7th through the 11th of April. Times available is between 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So, any candidates vying for positions on council, city council, or the school board may call and schedule an interview time between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. April 7th through the 11th, and all you have to do is notify the candidates to call 409-982-9029 and leave a message if necessary to arrange your interview day and time. Once again, the Breeze offer all candidates the opportunity to come before you and express their views, their platform, and let you know something about themselves, and give you the opportunity to answer questions that you may have to the candidates. All candidates are invited. Now, along with our subject today, Political Actions Committee, before we start, I want to give a quote here that was made by Lieutenant General Russell Honore, retired United States Army. For all of you who might not remember who retired Lieutenant General Russell Honore is, he was the black general that was called in New Orleans for Katrina when there was so much chaos going on over there. He was given the mission to go in and take control of it and get it under control and get people out of New Orleans and make it move. And that's what his probably most noted feat in the military was the way he went into New Orleans and took charge and got everybody out in an orderly manner. Now, he's currently in the Lake Charles area, but he had a meeting, and the meeting was with citizens in the community. He has also planned to have a larger group of meeting with more citizens, and it's all centered around the plant in Lake Charles. And it's really referring to the people that live in the Mossville area. Mossville is right around the area of Lake Charles. And they're talking about the pollution and emissions that's coming from the refinery. And he's talking about the owner and CEO of this refinery and what they do and what they're doing to control emission, or what they're doing to give back to the community that's being impacted. And he's very adamant about meeting with people from the Department of Energy and also EPA and other agencies. But he's trying to get all these people to come before these citizens and getting citizens to be more proactive about holding people accountable. And when he finished his interview with the newspaper, which was the American Press, his last statement was, or his last statement before was, we give up our freedom when we allow our government, because of donations from these companies to our politicians, to create laws that allow them to self-regulate. I'm going to say that real slow again, because it's very important in the way he phrased this. We give up our freedom when we allow our government, because of donations from these companies to our politicians. Donations, he's talking about campaign contributions, to create laws that allow them to self-regulate. Now, the last sentence after he said that was even more impacting. He said, we don't need to be stuck on stupid. Here in the state of Louisiana, we need to hold these people accountable. We don't need to be stuck on stupid. We need to hold these people accountable. Now, why was that reference to that interview so important to start off with our segment today on Political Actions Committee? Well, basically, it forms in a way that political actions committees, they donate to different candidates' campaign, and they fund different candidates' campaign. They fund campaign, and they're hoping in return that the people that they contribute funds to will vote in favor of actions that will benefit them. Now, in his interview, he was talking about industry and emission of different type chemicals into the air, and he was saying that these companies donate to these elected officials, and that's in state, federal level, who in turn will not pass laws that will impact on them, that they have to spend more money. So he said we need to hold them accountable. Okay? So basically, how does that equate here at the municipal level? Well, political actions committees can sometimes do that same thing on your municipal level, your city level. you have people who will contribute to individuals' campaign because, one, they feel that they could be very helpful in moving a city forward. They feel it could be more beneficial that they can help the citizens in the city, all citizens in the city. They feel that this individual can make the city better. So those what Political Actions Committee do. But now on the other side, it can also be in line in what the general said in the interview when he said the donations allow them to regulate themselves. Well, in the city level, if you put candidates in office who's funded by a political action committee, and that committee is not solely interested in the well-being of the citizens and the city, it can lead to having an individual vote in the favor of the people who are part of this committee. So you have to take a look at the composition of these committees. Now, the two committees I want to talk about that are the most active that I know of here in the city of Port Arthur is, like I said, the Concerned Citizens to Unite Port Arthur. And this committee, Actions Committee, is formed of business people, mostly business people, and there are other citizens here that are part of this action committee. But the way it operates is basically through the person that is in charge of it, orchestrating it and leading it. And when it comes down to putting in the money to fund these campaigns, all the money is coming from the business people. So the people that are putting out money to fund these campaigns, they're putting out money to make sure that the candidates that they wish to put in office are candidates that will vote on issues that they have concerns with or issues that they would like to see done. Now, is that committee actually a committee that is set up to bring forward the citizen concerns and also getting people who will look at the city as a whole, people that can deal with our issues and are prepared to make the decisions, the hard decisions? Or do they want candidates that they can call and influence on how to vote? Well, if you look at history of this Political Actions Committee, you'll have to form your own opinion. But what you should be willing to understand and consider is the fact that, one, this committee has always stated, we're concerned about Port Arthur. We want effective leaders for our city of Port Arthur. But do they ever state the issue of Port Arthur? Do this committee ever talk about, we need someone that's going to get out of here and get streets fixed, get water lines replaced, get rid of our blight areas in our city, move our city as a whole, take a look at quality of life for our citizens. We want somebody that's going to build these nice parks. Or do they just say, we are concerned? If you are concerned and you're looking for individuals to take care of the citizens, and you are looking for an individual who can lead the city, what what are you looking for? What are you looking for? So beware of the mission and what these different political actions committee expect, because really it's not rocket scientist stuff. Normally they will tell you what they're looking for, what they want, and what they're fighting for. They tell you what they're fighting for. We want individuals who are going to do A, B, C, D. You know, what you think, Flash?
Yeah, good morning. How you doing, brother? Thanks for bringing me in. My only question would be, although I am a candidate for public office, I don't want to seem like I'm taking advantage of the airways from other candidates. Of course, we've always made it available for every candidate who's interested in going on the air. Sometimes they come, sometimes they don't, but I shouldn't be disallowed to voice my opinion and what I think about things just because I'm a candidate and also, in a position of ownership of the station. But my first thought about all of this, when we talk about political action committees, I think we touched on that a little bit a couple of weeks ago in your previous show, and also when Councilman Beard sat in on last week for you while you were on Happy Days vacation in Florida, getting your suntan. You do look a little bit darker, though.
True brother, true brother. True that.
Keep it black, brother.
I know it, so you're right.
But about the business at hand, my first thought would be, as kind of as you're saying, the candidate really needs to know what these organizations are about. I can remember in recent years when David Duke out of Louisiana, was he running for president? And man, folk were just throwing money at him, and they would support his campaign. And all it took was for one person to say that he was part of the Ku Klux Klan group, and that just blew everything up. Looked like he lost support, he lost momentum. He may have bowed out of the candidacy, out of the race. I'm not really sure. I don't remember what happened. He just disappeared. So that begs, for every candidate to think about it. I need to make sure who I'm taking money from is their ideas, attitudes, and their, what they want done is in line with what I'm going to do. As a candidate, what I think is best for the citizens, because not all the time that person's giving money to your campaign live in your city.
Well,
Would you say that's correct?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I agree and disagree. And the reason I say I agree and disagree is for the fact that I've ran for office twice.
Mm-hmm.
And I've accepted contributions. And when you're running for office and people are wanting to contribute to your campaign, it costs to run these campaigns.
Sure.
So people should be receptive of people offering them money. But see, I don't believe that there's no political action committee or no individual can control an elected official who's there to do the right thing. And the reason I say that is I've been in that position where people are giving me money. But I've also been in a position where people talk to me about supporting certain actions when I was a councilman.
Mm-hmm.
And they found out that my famous words when I was on council was, if it doesn't benefit the citizens and it doesn't benefit the city,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not supporting it. And I turn and say, I don't see where this is benefiting the city, and I don't see where it's benefiting the citizen. So they knew I wasn't going to support it. And eventually, I never got approached anymore, because I guess the word get around quick, those who are influenced and those who are not influenced. So I've got nothing against a person receiving money from nobody or no committee. But that's going to be where we get into our last portion of the discussion when I explain to the citizens how they can combat that. Okay?
All right.
So we'll hold that one for where we are. And once again, you listen to the Breeze, KSAP 96.9 on the FM. And if you wish to join in on this discussion, feel free to do so on at area code 409-982-0247. And we're going to take a 2-minute break, and we'll be right back with This Your City. Okay, caller, you're on the air, and we're back with The Breeze. It's Your City. Caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Greg Michelle calling. What's the topic for today, bro?
The topic for the day is political actions committees, and what they do, and what you can expect from them, and what you should do in order to understand that candidate they support, and what to look for.
Okay, I've been aware of these pacts, as you call them, since probably 2005, and I was invited to one of the meetings at the Holiday Inn. And basically, when I got in the meeting, I could call Parker sitting to my right, Roman Howard was right next to him. There was a bunch of other white folks I didn't know that were in there. You know, it was basically asking me personal questions about what I should do, and if I get elected, blah, blah, blah. And I guess I told them answers they didn't want to hear, so that evidently they didn't, support my candidacy. But I do see a lot of people that I know that have come through, and you have a lot of things that they do that I feel are not in the best interest of the city, such as closing Lincoln High School down. Christine Mix, Donald Ray Point, Willie Ray Elmore, and Gregory Flores all voted to close Lincoln High School down. And you ask yourself, well, what do these 4 people have in common? What they had in common was that a PAC, Carl Parker's group, gave every one of those guys money. So that's just one example that I have people be aware of, people who get PAC money during elections.
Okay, caller, appreciate the comment. And if you stay tuned to the whole show, you're going to find out as we progress through the show, you're going to see exactly how that fit into the discussion for today, because what you brought up is a valid point. In fact, I'll just touch upon it since you called and you deserve an answer. I'll kind of move it forward into the program. But when an individual is elected by citizens to be their representative and their voice, the way you can determine the effectiveness of that individual is, one, look at how that individual vote on issues that directly impact on the quality of life, and that is things that are for citizens, not business, for citizens, okay? And the other thing is, when you start getting into a controversial issue, when there's a controversial issue, it's 2 things that are always involved. One is dollars, whether that money is being spent for a valid reason or whether it's a waste of money. And 2, whether it's benefiting the citizens or is benefiting an individual. Those are the 2 ways you can determine where that individual elected official is coming from with the vote and their discussion or debate. And once again, there's always identification, as you brought out, and I'm going to bring it out now. That's what Mr. Mosley was referring to. Identification. Notice the PAC and who they support. Normally they support people. And you'll find out that if those individuals are voting in the best interest of the citizens and the city, you'll find that they'll be in line with other council members. But when you see a breakout among council members, and there's a big debate, and it's controversial, it's only controversial and it's only a big debate for the simple reason you have council people who are looking at the item, does it benefit our citizens and does it benefit our city, or does it benefit an individual or a company or corporation? Now, those who are fighting for it, what's the common denominator? And you hit it on the you hit the nail on the head there, caller. You can always find a common denominator. And that's why I'm telling citizens, beware of political actions group and what they're trying to accomplish in their support of candidate. And just because a candidate is supported by a group, don't think that the candidate is a bad candidate, but that candidate should be able to face the citizens, and that candidate should be able to let the citizens know what their platform is and what they're going to do to bring the city. And above all, they need to go out into the community and face the voters. A lot of these individuals that are supported by these PAC, you'll find out that they don't do very much campaigning. They don't come out and ask for your vote. They expect the PAC to get out there and do it. They fund the campaign. They expect them to call the people, get the people out there. And they sat back saying, yeah, I'm going to win. Because it's not very much grassroots campaigning where you get out here and you go door to door, or you meet people and you tell them who you are. This is what I want to do. This is what I see as a problem. The candidates has a tendency here in Port Arthur, since I've been following the politics since I got back, 2000. Everybody talks about we need to fix the streets. We need to get rid of the blight.
Yeah.
We need to replace water lines. We need to replace sewage lines. Well, let me tell you something. It's 14 years later, and every area mentioned has gotten worse. And we've had several change of council members. Now, why is it still worse when everybody promising to fix it? Well, as the caller said, go back and look at the common denominator. Everybody says this when they're campaigning, but once they're on council, watch how many times it comes from their mouth. We got to do something about these streets. We got to do this. How many times they're putting pressure on the manager and staff to do something? Who is fighting for it and who's not concerned about it? But the ones that told you they want to do that, every time it's mentioned in an open forum, they'll say, oh yes, oh yes. But how many times have they taken the initiative to make reference to putting money in these areas when you're wasting money in another area? Citizens need to look at these videos. You need to look at these meetings. You will see what council members are fighting in these areas. You need to look. Don't believe me. Don't believe your relatives. You know my famous saying, think for yourself. I have confidence in individuals when they take the time to look at what they can see for themselves. I have confidence you can make the right decision. But there's not enough people taking the time to do it. And another thing is, we got too many people want to go along to get along. And what you have to realize is, you have to be an individual when you go to vote. Nobody's in that booth but you. So you got to vote to protect yourself. You got to vote in your best interest. And in order to vote right, you have to be able to stop, listen to what people are talking. Because you'll find out people can make promises without no intent to keep them. You know, you hear candidates that will be running for re-election. They'll get up there and they say, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. Well, let me tell you, how do you determine whether they did or didn't? If a candidate says, I spearhead, or I done this, go back, look for that item on the agenda when it came before council. If that item has that council member's name by it as requesting to put it on that agenda, then that person did put it to the council. But when an item is placed on the agenda and all the council is discussing it and council makes a decision, that person is not responsible for that action. That is a council action. But you have council members, because they voted, they trying to claim that they done it. That is not the case. It takes the majority of council to approve in this city on our form of government or any government. And therefore, be mindful of what someone is telling you they did when they was in office. Because one thing you know for sure is those streets haven't got better while you was in office. The water lines didn't get fixed while you was in office. The sewage didn't get improved while you was in office. We still got a lot of blight while you was in office. We still giving tax incentives when we don't need to while you're in office. So what you need to do is you need to tell me how you are not, or what you did not to be put into that category. Because like I said, if you review the video, there are some council members fighting. They're fighting all the time. But they'll be labeled troublemakers. You know, you're a troublemaker when you don't go along to get along. Okay, nobody want to hear what you have to say when you're saying something that the citizens is going to be identified with.
Here's something that I get a lot about as I'm walking the street, you know, because I'm going house to house as I'm campaigning. I think Brother Troy, Robert Troy is in the house, and I'm certainly thank him for dropping in. But what we've experienced out there in the field, a lot of folk are hurt about the idea of the way council get along. You know, they'll say things like, you know, we know this councilman was right, but it's how he responded, you know, to another council person that was so embarrassing or disrespectful that now they've taken their eyes and minds off the issue, and the only thing remember was that each other fussing and embarrassing each other in the public's eye.
Let me tell you, once again, the proof is in the pudding.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm getting. Well, so what?
I'm finna tell you.
All right.
I'm finna tell you. Just
lay it out there.
Okay. Go back. Start looking at the videos. If you don't have a computer, tell somebody let you look at them. Go by the house. Sit down and look at a few videos where there's a lot of argument.
Yes.
What you will see every time is only certain people that's arguing.
Mm-hmm.
And every time there's only one individual involved in every argument. Okay? So don't say council is bickering.
Yes.
Council is not bickering.
Mm-hmm.
It's not council. It's individual.
Yes.
Now, if it's only individual bickering, why are they bickering?
Right.
You'll find that issue, there's something dealing with that issue whereby that issue is being discussed in the form that this is not for the best interest of the citizen.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the best interest of the city. It's something here make a good old deal. This is a good old buddy deal. Or this is just trying to help somebody out here. But it's not in the best interest of the citizens and the city. And when a council member knows that is not in the best interest of the city and the citizens, that council member is going to stand up.
So that's basically what a councilman or council person, because if it's a woman, council person, has that responsibility to say, look, you know, I may have my personal views and opinions about it, but I represent a district of
There you
people.
go.
And the citizens said, this is what they want.
Well,
Now, whether I agree to it or not, if the citizens said that we need plumbing out here, or we need curbs and gutters, it's my responsibility as a council person to go back to council and say, look, in my district, we've got 45 streets without curbs and gutters. What can we do for the citizens in this area? That's basically it. Would you say, or what?
well, see, that's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And when council does not, in a majority fashion, says yes, then that councilman is just out there fighting, but he's not going to get it passed, and he's not going to be able to get it done, but at least he's fighting for the citizens who elected him.
Right.
And the killing part about it is, when I explain the representation that we have, whenever a district councilman brings an item to the table that is for the benefit of his constituents who elected him. I'll give you an example. If I was a district councilman for District 5, and we don't have a 5, we got 4 districts, okay? So, well, let me use the number that won't even be affiliated with that we got. If I was the
District
councilman
10.
for District 10,
Yeah.
and I wanted a park in this neighborhood improved because it has been neglected for so long.
Yes.
If I come to the council and tell the council, look, this is a park that has been neglected. The citizens are complaining. We've been fixing other parks. Council, we need to do something in this park. I didn't say do a makeover, but we need to improve this park, and we need to do it now. When I, as a council member for that district, bring that item and present it in that fashion, all other council members should be supportive of that for 2 reasons. One, it's a fact. The park is in disarray.
Yes.
2, it had not received any funding in a long period of time. 3, the citizens are asking for us to help. So it shouldn't be about me as a person putting it on the agenda. It should be the item. The item speaks
Right.
for itself.
I agree.
When the rest of the council members says, well, they don't jump on board, what they're telling me is, my parks don't need it, so I don't care whether you get it or not. Or somebody says, well, I don't think we need to put the money on that, because they might have not. So what I'm telling you is, you have council
So
members.
that's how infighting begins, because
That's
now,
how your infighting
when
begins.
one council person feels they should fairly receive, like other council members in their district. are
There you go.
receiving, They should look at
Be
it
equitable.
the same thing.
Equitable.
That's right.
But because a certain group support only what that group wants to do, it leaves the other group in a minority, whether it's a valid item or not, they don't want to hear it.
So that's where you feel that the PACs have gotten so have gotten their hooks so deep in some candidates.
Well, I tell you right
that
now.
the candidate themselves
No.
seem not to want to pull out of that situation, even though they know it's the right thing to do.
Nah, don't blame it on the PACs. I keep saying, everybody keep blaming on the PACs.
Mhm.
You need to blame it on the elected official.
On the official.
Okay? Don't blame nothing on the PAC.
PAC just put the money
Hey,
in where
let me
they
tell you
want
something.
issues to help them, but it's the candidate. who
I
has to
served
decide.
on council. I've initially approached with those things. I know how politics is.
But not all council members are the same.
Well, that's why when you find out one not, you need to recall them. You need to get them.
How
We
do
need
we
to
do
stop
that?
waiting for a term to expire when people are not representing the people for which they elected.
I
When a
agree.
council member sits on council as an at-large, and a council member from one of the districts is talking about something that's badly needed by the citizens in that district, if that council member at large doesn't join in and support that council member in that district, that council member is not doing what they were elected for, because the same people that this council member is representing voted for that person too.
Yeah.
So we have to get involved to the point that we look and observe what people are doing as opposed to what they're saying. As we talked about in previous shows about what is the quality of a good elected official.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you don't know if that person has that quality. You have to accept what they're saying.
Right.
But once you find out that person is not what you want, does not possess the qualities, it's 2 things that citizens must do. You either must recall a person and take them out of the office, or the next time they come up for election, you don't re-elect them.
But why are we putting the same people back in office again?
You-
this has been we
no,
see this
no,
in the last 3 cycles.
No, you're missing the
last 3
case.
cycles.
That's why we're doing this show. To inform the people of what's happening. To try to get them to get involved, to know. It's only one way to ensure you put the right person in there that's gonna support you. That's get out to the polls and vote. So you keep saying this happened for the last, well, guess what? It's going to continue to happen because I can tell you right now, I want to talk about the other pack before we get tied up with one without talking about the other. But caller, you on the air right now.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing
Good
fine.
morning.
Go ahead, caller, you're on there.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to call in and chime in what Councilman Doucet said and what you also said, Mr. Mosley. The key word we need to keep in mind is here, and I'm going to say this also to the public as we go into another election season and cycle. And this former councilman did is, we have to look at the integrity of the individual. I did some listening and checking around recently, after the forum that was held at New St. John about 2 weeks ago, and heard where that question was posed about money being taken from the PACs and all that. Now, PACs of and by themselves are not bad, but what is bad is the undue influence of money to get what the PAC wants to be done when it is in direct opposition to what is the good and best welfare of the citizens who are elected to serve.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes a matter of integrity for that person to be able to determine whether or not they're doing what's in the best interest of the citizens who elected them, or are they doing it in terms of themselves and their financial situation, or for the betterment of the PAC. Because not all the time does the PAC want to do or have this goal, the goal of the people, or the people's best interest. In other words, that's a special interest case. And special interest has been shown, whether it's state, national, or otherwise, to be a mixed bag, especially now when the undue influence of excessive money comes about. So it takes a great deal of integrity because not all money is good money. People say that's formal about the campaign, that, well, they would take the money if it was offered by the PAC. No problem in that. But you have to have the integrity to be able to say when something is good or right, that you're going to do the right thing, that the money is not going to unduly influence you to do something that's against the people you represent.
Sounds good.
I tell you, caller, exactly the point I was making, and it's good that the citizens hear from a former council member who's been there and done that, as we have, and we can actually put this information out from experience as opposed to hearsay or we say or we think. We know it from experience, and it goes back to what he said is integrity. And what I'm telling people is, you as citizens need to hold your elected official accountable to the type of representation they give to you.
That's right.
An elected official out here violating the ordinance or violating your code is not an individual that you would want to be the elected official, because you're trying to say it's two sets of rules, so two sets of rules is what makes you bad. But now let me move to the other political action group I want to talk about. Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
And now I want to talk about the PA politics. You hear a lot about the PA politics.
Mm-hmm. What is PA politics?
That's a group of individuals on the blog, Facebook, and what they do is they talk about the different issues. Now, this group here is, I would say, fighting to try to get knowledge to the citizens. Mm-hmm. Now, we have one group that we talked about earlier said that we're concerned because we want to get the right person in office. But we have not really talked about what we really want to see this right person do. Yeah. Well, this group here is just the opposite. This group here is fighting to try to find candidates that will do a good job. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get information on candidates. They discuss things candidates say. They discuss the performance of candidates, and everybody has an input. And like everything, some statement may be out in left field, but a lot of the statements done on this is actually with facts and is dealing with issues and is talking about what they need to do. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of the people with the Port Arthur Politics group, they really not looking at trying to gain any type influence on council. All they want is individual on council that's gonna move the whole city forward.
Yeah.
And their discussion is about items like if council awards money and they don't feel it was appropriate and a good use of their money. Now it's their money, okay?
That's right, taxpayer
So
money.
they get up there and they talk about it and they say how they feel.
Yeah.
And other people comment on it. So now you got a dialogue on what our representation is doing with respect to our dollars and how we feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they also would like to see candidates that will be on council that will look at Port Arthur as a city, as a whole, and they would also like to have a candidate that has integrity, commitment, and all these other qualities that we talk about, because some of the things that have happened with candidates, you find it on that particular blog. So what you have here is you have a group of citizens, regular citizens, but they want to support candidates, and they talk about who they support, but they don't have money to fund candidates. So you got one group that's say, okay, we're gonna support this candidate, we're gonna fund your campaign. Now, you got this group saying, we can't fund a campaign, but I tell you what, we can tell the people about everybody, we can try to inform the people, we could support the candidates we feel are right, and the candidates that will do things. And if you look on that, they're always talking about streets, water, sewage. So this organization,
PA politics.
yeah, is always talking about issues, what we gotta do, what we need to do, who's doing, who's not doing. They don't have money to fund. So you take a look at the composition of it. The composition of it, I'm quite sure they have professional people, layman people. They have the variety of people in there, but they don't possess the business. Now the other group is business. So there's a tendency to wonder which group is really fighting. Now, citizens, listen to this one. Take a look at the candidates that these particular groups endorse and support. And you will find that these two political actions committed, now this is a fact. One is made up of individuals who are fighting to get people in there to better our city south of 73, because that is the bad part of our city. And they want to see the whole city develop.
Yeah.
They are the ones that are concerned about trying to put money where we already have everything and everything looks nice, but yet no, this part. Then you have the other group. The other group, they're comprised of individuals who deal with people, that deals with people north of 73. And you don't ever hear them or any candidate that they support fighting to fix streets, water lines, and so. That candidate don't fight for these issues. They don't.
I see.
They just talk about these issues, but they don't fight for these issues. And when you have people that's not fighting for issues that citizens are constantly complaining about, then the citizens need to understand how you should be the judge of the individual you're voting for, as opposed to these different committees. Also, you have organizations such as your firemen and your police department. They have these forums, and then they endorse candidates and they contribute to their campaign. What's in common? Citizens, take a look at it. The candidates the police department will endorse will probably be candidates that the fire department endorse, will be the candidates that the concerned citizens of Port Arthur endorse.
That's one of the pack groups.
All of these organizations, they are so-called holding forums, but they all coming up with supporting the same people. Citizens, beware of that. Be very aware of that, because that is what we talk about when we say common denominators. Caller, you on the air.
Former Councilman Doucet, thank you again, and I'm sure that it was difficult for you last week in Florida.
Could you speak a little bit louder, caller, please? Appreciate it.
Councilman Doucet, I appreciate your being, former Councilman Doucet, I appreciate your being here, and I'm sure it was difficult to last week in Florida, but you managed to make it happen. I appreciate that. Two questions. One is, you mentioned the two political action committees and their blogs or their information. How can we find them on the web? And then two, do I hear you saying that there is a economic divide, if you will, in interest, that the affluent part of the city now north of 73 and the less affluent part of the city south of 73 is a factor in how people are voting and how the committees are supporting candidates?
Yes. Basically, if you get into checking what is happening and what has been a tendency here in the city for about the last 6-8 years, you'll find that there are certain organizations, this PAC, concerned citizens, your fire department and your police department, they always basically supporting the same group of individuals as candidates. And the PA Politics group, this just started in the last few years. But they are basically trying to get candidates who will turn their attentions to the other part of the city. So what we really need to do there is not let somebody tell me that this is a bad political action committee or that one. As I always tell people, don't believe what I say. Just go and check and look at the common denominators. Look at what it is, you know, and then you'll understand why our area south of 73 has not been developed or has not improved in the last 10 years, because you have had people on council that have not really taken any steps or made any efforts to improve it. They have been more concerned with being able to continually look at developing and bringing in things north of 73 and continue to give incentive and putting out money, in which you should not be putting out money where you've already spent millions of dollars to get it, whereby you could get the maximum dollar. Sales tax, everybody is saying our sales tax is down. It's going to be a larger deficit on a budget. It's going to impact negative on a budget, you know. Well, the council has to understand, you make your bed, you have to lie in it. You know, when we gave these tax exemption to new businesses for 10, 15 years, we should have known that we wasn't going to get revenue for this period of time. So as the growth of business and everything keep growing, we're not getting revenue because we're not getting the tax, because we're giving them the tax exemptions. So when we think about that, then you think council just gave $1.2 million for tax credits, sales tax credit, when the company want to come here anyway, and if they didn't want to go, you're not in a position to give money like that. So you give 1.2 million, then you turn around and you report to us that, oh, sales tax is way behind. Oh, this is going to impact on a higher budget deficit. Well, it doesn't take a rocket science to understand. So, caller, you see, if you start looking at what's happening and what's being done and what's taking place in our city, you'll be able to understand the two facets of these two political action committees that has taken a lead in determining who they will support and trying to get their particular candidates in office. And if you look at, once these candidates in office, if you look at what the city has accomplished with candidates from their side, you're going to see that it's a reflection of our city.
Carl, you got any additional comments? We're about 2 minutes against the clock. Any additional comments?
I guess what I now ask is that it sounds like you're saying that the full deliberative process for matters under council consideration are not being thought through.
Exactly. Well, I would say not because see, council knows that we should not be giving incentives out there. I mean, council knows that. So for council to do it, it has to be council members who know that we're doing this. We shouldn't do it, but that's when I'm a firm believer that the council members that approve this, a council member that's not looking for the best interest of the city, because if they would, when they talked about this sales tax being low and impacting negative on our budget, they would have known that the action we've taken, none of our actions have reflected on this type of report. But when you get that type report and you giving sales tax still in an area that's already developed, limited, council has done wrong by citizens. That is not what they're supposed to do. But you know, my show, I don't like to call names, I don't like to talk about the council, but I'm trying to get the citizens to go and look at video, research it, find out. Because if you do this, you will find out what I'm saying, you will come to that conclusion. Because I don't want the one to be able to tell you, Carla, but look here, Carla, write this number down.
Okay.
Area code 409 749 0062. You call that number and an individual will get you in line on how to get up on Port Arthur politics, in which you can see what this other political action group does and how they try to discuss issues with the city. And once again, like I said, you get a dialogue from people, and you'll find out the people that doing the dialogue, they challenge one another. It's not like it's everybody said, oh, listen to what this person said and don't say nothing. Everybody get challenged. So once again, thank you for your call, caller, and have a good day.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Okay. Once again, you listen to The Breeze, KSAP, 96.9 FM on the radio. And at this time, we're going to take a 2-minute break, and we'll be back to close up. So, once again, you're listening to The Breeze, KSAP 96.9. Be back in 2. Okay, you're back with The Breeze, former Councilman Harold Doucet. And we were talking about Political Actions Committee today. And we talked about two that has been pretty prominent here in the community. One being the Concerned Citizens of Port Arthur to Unite, and the other being the Port Arthur PA Politics group on the blog. Each group has stepped forward and are supporting candidates, and there has been a lot of discussion on this group supporting candidates, and candidates that take some money are not candidates that should be in office. But I've taken an approach that as citizens, we need to be mindful on who we elect, and we need to make sure that we find out all the information possible for that individual. We need to be very careful on our selection based on someone telling us. We need to get more involved with finding out the information for ourselves. And above all, when you start talking about an individual promising you, understand platforms. If anybody recall any forum they attended when I ran for council member, and also when I ran for mayor, you didn't hear me talk about platforms too much, because you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what are the needs of Port Arthur, what are the priorities of Port Arthur. I have been listening to it for 10 years before I got into the politics, so I knew what the issues was. I knew everybody else knew, so I didn't feel I need to go out there and tell you, if I'm elected, I'm going to fight to get streets fixed, because I knew that even if I was the greatest person in the world, it takes more than one vote to get it done. So I wasn't going to promise you that I was going to do that. But what I put a lot of emphasis on when I ran was my character, my accomplishments, my integrity, my honesty. You have candidates that have been in office that you can evaluate these qualities and trace from them. You have candidates that have not been in office that are running. So you have to listen to what people who know them says. Caller, you on there?
Yes. And speaking on what you just finished with Mr. Doucet regarding the Hobby Lobby deal, here's something the citizens and listeners need to keep in mind. It's exactly what you said with regard to that. The Hobby Lobby was coming anyway without the $1.2 million of guaranteed money. Now, I say guaranteed, they say they'll pay up to $120,000 a year. But that is what they're going to pay based on how much those sales taxes are. That is the amount they're going to refund to them every year. They didn't do it in a way where they scaled it down every 10 years, reduced it so we got some of our money back. We are committed up to $1.2 million. But it's also correct what you said with regard to the fact, again, that they weren't coming because they were already talking with LSI about coming in there. So Hobby Lobby was here anyway, and the LSI deal that we put together was a $2 million deal that brought you about 11 different stores. All those stores near Sortino's. It brought you the new steakhouse that's there. It brought that new hotel that's going up just behind it. And it also brought cars and pending two other hotel businesses that are going to be coming into that area. So for $2 million, we got considerably more bang for the buck than spending $1.2 million just to get one business.
Well, Councilman Beard, let me ask you something right quick. When we talk about investing in areas with taxpayers' dollars, especially these tax abatements, like those kind of deals like we've done with Hobby Lobby, well, let me ask, what is the purpose of that? Is to give incentive? Is it to get someone to come where they normally would not come, or giving them an incentive to go someplace where everybody is? What is the purpose of these things?
The purpose of giving an incentive is to lure somebody or get a business or someone to come into an area that normally would not have that sort of business. You want to reduce the cost to them so that it's not such a turnoff or that it's more desirable for them to be in that area. Here's another thing. We created, when I was on council, and this is here again, when I was on council, we put a moratorium on any further projects north of Highway 73 because nothing was being done in the inner city. We were trying to, we were not able to get money set aside for the inner city for other projects. You have some members of council saying they're open to it, but everything we've done an incentive for, we bled the money out ahead of time in order to induce people to come into that area. Nothing's been done like that south of 73.
So let me...
North of 73, a lot of money's been put there. So you give incentives in order to attract business, attract investment, attract activity to an area that does not have it because of other circumstances.
So the idea is not to just give money because a business wants to come, but it's to encourage a business to go where you want them to go. And if they are not there, then why offer them an incentive?
That's right. And the purpose of it is that you want to get their sales tax and the business activity that sales tax creates. Not just the job, but also the fact that those people are working there hopefully will live in Port Arthur, the large majority. And they will spend their money. And they're spending their dollars turns over 7 times in your community. A dollar that leaves and goes out of Port Arthur to someone who doesn't live here, who doesn't buy groceries here, gasoline, goods, supplies, and services, does not benefit the city of Port Arthur, nor do the taxpayer one bit. So we want to reinvest in ourselves by creating more business in Port Arthur. But you can't do that if you're giving the money out and don't know what the return is going to be.
Sounds good.
It's a crapshoot what they did because there was nothing that this is based on. It's just simply based on however much sales they make, they're going to get in a year's time $120,000 back.
All right. Appreciate your call.
All right, thank you.
Let me ask you just one right quick. I want to ask you, you mentioned before when we talked about folks who are running for public office, that when someone is trying to go get a person to run for office, what's your feeling about that? As opposed to someone who have probably been watching everything and have been trying to get involved in politics as opposed to someone you go out to try and get to run for public office. What you had a feeling about this?
I've stated that many times. I've been asked to get involved with that, and I tell people the same reply. You don't ever want to ask anybody to serve. No, in no public office. If a person has desire to serve, they should step forward. You ask someone to serve, you automatically giving someone a green light to just come forward with any type of effort, because really they didn't want to do it, or they can say you asked them and you talk them into it. So anybody wanting to be a public servant, it starts first of all with their desire to want to be. And if they decide that they want to be a public servant, then they have a reason for deciding that. And if they have a reason, it's more likely they're going to be able to do it. And it goes back to what we were talking about before, the call, when we're talking about the character and the quality of our public servant. Citizens, you need to be aware of it. You know, don't take lightly anyone violating the ordinance, breaking the rules. Don't take it that their excuses are acceptable. You know, you can't unrob a bank, okay? And the fact is the fact. If our ordinance says don't do it, then you don't do it. And here, once again, don't listen to me. Don't listen to relatives. And don't listen to friends. What my famous saying is, look at the facts, find out for yourself. If you stop putting people that doesn't have the right qualities in office, you're never going to get the city to move forward, and you're not going to benefit from the elected officials making the right decisions to benefit citizens in the city. So you need to get more involved, and if you're going to get more involved, you need to start doing some fact finding, and as always, try to vote to put the best person in, and we'll hope that that will work. We hope that that will move our city forward, and be your own judge, but you have to do your homework. Now, how effective is a political action committee? We talked about political action committee. So, the political actions committee, don't let no one try to tell you that they put people in office. They don't put people in office. You, the citizens, put people in office. If you want to ensure you got people to represent you, then you need to go to the poll. The voting habits here in the city of Port Arthur reflects the city. Where you see there's heavy voting, people are happy, the city looks nice. Where there's light voting is where you have all the complaints. So what my word is to you citizens, don't worry about the PACs. The PACs don't control our destiny. Don't worry about what our friends say, our relatives. We control our own destinies individually. And in order to do that, we need to be prepared to put the best person, you know, I didn't say the right person, the best person given our choices into office. And the way we do that, we have to go to the poll. Remember, if you remember nothing else of today's show, your voting habits in this city reflects the condition of the city. And if you want to change, then if you look in your area and you see bad streets, bad water lines, bad streets, ask yourself, did I vote? Because if you start voting, I promise you, there will be a change, because the tendency says, where we vote, we get what we want. Where we don't vote, we get what they give us. You've been with It's Your City, hosted by former Councilman Harold Doucet. And I want to thank all the people who called in for your comments, and they were outstanding comments today. And I want to thank all the people that came into the station to listen to it. And of course, David John for taping as always. Once again, It's Your City. And we'll see you next Monday. Until then, let's do it. Till we satisfied.